Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I'm your biology instructor. My name is Asma Kamran. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for seeking admission in Abi Barn Hall College for Girls. Due to this pandemic, we cannot teach you in a physical classroom environment, but are trying to reach you virtually. So this is your biology first year book cover page, published by National Book Foundation. Its first edition was published in 2013 and new developed edition was published in 2017. These are the contents of the book. You see it has 13 chapters. First chapter is cell structure and function, and the last one is about immunity. We will start from the first chapter, that is cell structure and function. As a biology student, you must know what is cell. Cell is the basic unit of structure and function in all living organisms, and single cell is able to perform each and every function of life like respiration, metabolism, growth, reproduction, etc. And it is the building block of even the complex living organisms, which are made up of many cells. Cell theory is actually the fundamental concept or fundamental principles or concrete principles that make the base of biology. These are 6 principles. Number 1, the cell is a fundamental unit of structure and function in living organisms. Number 2, all organisms are made up of one or more cells. Some are unicellular and some are multicellular. Number 3, cell arise from other cells through cellular division. When one cell divides, it gives rise to 2. When these new cells divide, they give rise to more cells. So this process keep on going and number of cells are formed. Number 4, cell carry genetic material passed to daughter cell during cell division. Cell consists of genetic material in the form of genes on chromosomes which are present in the nucleus, and when cell divide, these genes are distributed to the daughter cells, and these genes, they determine the structure and function of all cell in the living organism. Number 5, all cells are essentially the same in chemical composition. They are made up of same chemical molecules, like organic molecules as well as inorganic molecules. Number 6, energy flow occurs within cells. Energy flow from one cell to the other cell or transfer from one cell to the other cell. Now, what is cell? Cell actually consists of, or it is made up of a living matter that is called protoplasm. Protos is from a Greek word. Protoplasm is from a Greek word called protos, which means first. Plasm means form. And in the cell, protoplasm is actually the cytoplasm plus nucleus, which is bounded by cell membrane. And cytoplasm is the site where there are subcellular structures which are bounded by membrane are present. These subcellular structures are called cell organelles. For example, mitochondria, Golgi body, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum. Each and every organism is specific in function, means it carry out specific function. This is animal cell. This one is plant cell. You see, basically both are same in structure, but there are some differences between the animal and plant cell. We will study all these differences and their basic structure in this chapter. Your first topic is in the chapter is technique used in the cell biology, but this topic is related to the techniques and the use of instruments to study cell and its organelle. So whenever it will be possible, we will do that chapter, that part of the chapter in lab and in the classroom. So we will start the chapter from cell wall and plasma membrane. Cell wall is the outermost layer in plant, but all cells, their outermost living boundary is plasma membrane, which is also called cell membrane. But plasma membrane is bounded by cell wall in plant cells, in prokaryotes, that is bacteria, cyanobacteria, etc., and in fungi. And this outer membrane outside the cell wall, it is called cell wall. And plant cell, but the cell wall, its composition is different, means it's Chemical nature is different in plants, in prokaryotes, and in fungi. In plants, it is made up of cellulose. In prokaryotes, that is bacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan. And in fungi, it is made up of chitin. You see in this figure, that is cytoplasm. It is bounded by plasma membrane, and outside the plasma membrane, in case of plant cells, prokaryotes, and fungi, there is cell wall. Now, what is cell wall? Cell wall is actually secreted by the cell itself, and in case of plants, it is made up of cellulose. Cell wall is totally permeable, it is porous, it has pits by which it is connected to the outer environment, as well as from one cell is connected to the other cell. And permeable means it allows each and everything to pass through it. And this figure, it is showing a plant cell. You see it have outermost is plasma membrane, then there is a cell wall, and it have these pores by which it is connected to the other cell, and these are the cellulose fibers that make up cell wall. Plant cell wall is made up of 3 layers, or it consists of 3 layers. Number 1 is primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and middle lamella. As you can see in this figure, the middle lamella is actually the layer by which 2 neighboring plant cells, they are connected to each other, they are cemented to each other. Then comes the primary cell wall, and inside the primary cell wall there is secondary cell wall. All the plant cells, they have primary cell wall, but secondary cell wall is secreted by only some cells, and it is secreted by those cells which are mechanical in function. Mechanical in function means their major function is to provide support to the cell. So most of the plant cells, they consist of primary cell wall. Again, in this figure, you can see that this yellow portion is showing the middle lamella by which the 2 neighboring cells are connected to each other, and then there is this green layer is showing the primary wall, then comes the secondary wall, and then there is this yellow one. This is the plasma membrane. Now the primary cell wall. Actually, it is the true wall, or the first wall, which is developed in the newly growing cells, and it is thin and flexible. Thin and flexible means it can stretch when the cell is young and it is developing. So when the cell increases in size, this stretch and then help the cell to increase its size. It is present in all plant cells, and most of the plant cells, they have only primary cell wall, and these are the cells which can store food, and in most of the photosynthetic cells, the primary cell wall is present. There is no secondary cell wall. Now the chemical composition of primary cell wall. Primary cell wall is basically made up of cellulose fibers. As you can see in this figure, these fibers are made up of cellulose, and these fibers are arranged in crisscross manner in a matrix. That matrix is made up of polysaccharides, and these polysaccharides basically consist of hemicellulose and pectin. And I think you know what is polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is a complex form of carbohydrates. Cellulose itself is also carbohydrate, but this cellulose makes these fibers which are arranged in this crisscross manner, and it is embedded in another matrix of carbohydrates. This is again another figure that is showing the structure of cell wall. You see these blue fibers are showing the cellulose, and these strands, they are showing its matrix, which is made up of hemicellulose and pectin. Now the functions of primary cell wall. As it is thin and plastic. It is adapted to growth. It allows the cell to increase in size during growth, and as it is permeable, so it allows the free passage of all types of molecules, ions and water. Cell wall is made up of cellulose fibers, and these fibers are arranged in crisscross manner. So this arrangement actually provides strength and rigidity to a plant cell, and it also provides definite shape to a cell. In young stage, when cell is growing and increasing in size, cell wall stretches so a cell can attain its maximum size. Now the secondary cell wall. Secondary cell wall is formed between the primary cell wall and plasma membrane. It is formed only in some cells, not in all cells. Basically, it is formed in those cells which are sportive in function. Cell wall is formed between primary cell wall and plasma membrane, and its major function is to provide strength, and it is formed when the cell reaches to its maximum size. Then towards the inner side of the primary cell wall, some chemical components are deposited, and these components make another layer which is thick as compared to primary cell wall, and due to this deposition, the cytoplasm, it shrinks, and these cells are dead cells. For example, sclerenchyma cell, as you can see in this figure, these are sclerenchyma cell. This is primary cell wall, this outer layer, and then inside the primary cell wall, this light green portion is showing the secondary cell wall, which is due to the deposition of certain chemical components, and due to this deposition, the cytoplasm is shrinked. So these cells are dead cells, and their basic function is only to provide support and a definite shape to plant cell. Now, what is the composition of secondary cell wall? It is also made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, inorganic salts and waxes. Lignin is actually more harder and rigid as compared to cellulose, so that's why the secondary cell wall provides strength and support to the cell wall. As in this figure, you can see this is the primary cell wall and this one is secondary cell wall. In case of primary cell wall, these cellulose fibers are thin and they are loosely attached or arranged. But in case of secondary cell wall, these cellulose fibers are in the form of bundles and they are arranged in more organized manner. And lignin fibers, which connect the cellulose fibers with each other, so they are much organized and they provide support and strength to the plant cell. This is another figure which shows the comparison or a difference between the primary and the secondary cell wall. Primary cell wall, as you can see, made up of these thin strands or thin fibers of cellulose which are loosely arranged, but in case of this secondary cell wall, the cellulose fibers are arranged in bundles, and these bundles again then arranged in crisscross manner, so they make more rigid structure as compared to this primary cell wall. Now comes the third layer of the plant cell, that is middle lamella. Middle lamella is actually present between the adjacent cells or neighboring cells. As you can see in this figure, this yellow part or yellow thin layer, it is showing the middle lamella which is connecting the two cells with each other. Middle lamella is made up of a jelly-like substance that is made up of calcium and magnesium salts or pectic acids and pectin. Its major function is to cement or to connect or to hold the neighboring plant cells with each other. That is all about plant cell wall, which is present only in plants. Now the plasma membrane, which is present in all types of cells, either they are plant cell, animal cell, they are prokaryotic or eukaryotic cell. Plasma membrane is also called cell surface membrane, cell membrane or plasmalemma. And it is different from cell wall because it is semi-permeable, means it allows only certain molecules and ions to pass through it. Only some molecules or particular molecules can cross the plasma membrane, can move inside the cell or can move from cell to outside. Fluid mosaic model of the plasma membrane was put forward by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. According to this model, the main framework of the membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer, means the two molecules of the phospholipid, in which the protein molecules are partially or wholly embedded. As you can see in this figure, some of the proteins, they are present throughout the thickness of the membrane, and some are only partly embedded in the membrane. Some are attached towards the outer surface, and some are present towards or attached to the inner surface. And these proteins are arranged in very irregular manner or in a mosaic way. That's why it is called mosaic model. And this plasma membrane is not stationary because the phospholipid molecules, they have the ability to move. Similarly, protein molecules can also move, which gives the fluid nature to the membrane. That's why this membrane is called fluid. So, fluid mosaic model is due to the fluid nature of the membrane and due to the mosaic arrangement of the membrane. This is another figure that is showing the plasma membrane. These are the phospholipid bilayer. These are the protein molecules, and these are carbohydrates attached to the protein or to the lipid. And this is representing the movement of the phospholipids. You can see that phospholipid molecules can drift or move sideways. And this is flip-flop movement, that phospholipid molecules can exchange their position, but this type of movement is very rare. Composition of plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is basically made up of three major components: proteins that are 60 to 80%, lipids 20 to 40%, and only a small quantity of carbohydrates, that is about 1%. Lipids are mostly in the form of phospholipids, which make that main framework of the membrane, that is bilayer. Another lipid is cholesterol. These cholesterol molecule fits between two phospholipid molecules at certain places, and cholesterol is absent in the prokaryotic plasma membrane. Carbohydrates, they may be branched or unbranched. This green part in this figure is representing the carbohydrates. If they may be attached either to the proteins or to the lipids. If they are attached to the protein, they are called glycoproteins. If they are attached to the lipids, they are called glycolipids. And the thickness of the plasma membrane is 7 nanometer. This is a video that shows the fluid nature of the membrane. Now, the lipids of the plasma membrane, it is made up of two layers of phospholipids. Phospholipid molecule have two parts, head and tail. Head is made up of glycerol and phosphate. Tail is made up of two fatty acid chains. Head is hydrophilic and tail is hydrophobic. Hydrophilic means water loving and hydrophobic means water hating or fearing. That's why these phospholipids, which are arranged in two layers in such a way that their hydrophobic tails, they are facing towards each other and are towards the center. But the hydrophilic heads, they are towards the outer side. That is the water loving part of the phospholipid. And the steroids, which fits at certain places between two phospholipid molecules, its purpose is to stabilize the plasma membrane and keep it in fluid form. The proteins of the plasma membrane, they can also move, and they may be partially or wholly embedded in the membrane. Some of the proteins are also attached to the carbohydrates, which may be branched or unbranched, and the outer and inner surface of the plasma membrane is not same. Plasma membrane is asymmetrical because towards the outer side, carbohydrates are mostly attached to the proteins and to the lipids, and there is extracellular material. But towards the inner side, to the protein especially, the fibers of the cytoskeleton, the fibers that make up the skeleton of the cell, they are connected or attached to the proteins, due to which the plasma membrane is asymmetrical. This is another figure that is showing a complete nature of plasma membrane. As you see, there is a lipid phospholipid bilayer, cholesterol molecules, these are the proteins, Here are carbohydrates. This is extracellular matrix, and this yellow part is representing the cytoskeleton, which is attached towards the inner surface of the membrane. This is again another video which will show the nature of the plasma membrane.
All cells have an outer membrane called a plasma membrane, which acts as a boundary between the outside and inside of a cell. Cell membranes are primarily made of phospholipids, which are large lipid molecules, similar to triglycerides. Like triglycerides, they contain glycerol and fatty acids, but they differ from triglycerides in that they have a phosphate group, rather than a fatty acid, attached to the third carbon of glycerol. The phosphate head of the molecule is hydrophilic, or water-loving. This means that it interacts well with water. The fatty acid tails, however, are hydrophobic, or water-hating, and do not interact well with water. Because of these unique properties, when placed in a liquid environment, phospholipids tend to arrange themselves into a phospholipid bilayer, so that only the hydrophilic heads interact with a watery environment, and the hydrophobic tails crowd inward, away from the water. The plasma membrane of a cell also contains other molecules that aid in its function. There are a number of different proteins embedded in a membrane, and they serve a variety of functions. Some are involved in the transport of substances across the membrane, while others help in cell-to-cell communication. Short chains of sugars are attached to the outer surface of some of these proteins, forming glycoproteins, which serve as recognition signals to other cells. Cholesterol is present in the membrane as well. Cholesterol lends support to the membrane and regulates fluidity, giving the membrane the general consistency of olive oil. The phospholipids, proteins, glycoproteins, and cholesterol are all present in the membrane as a flexible pattern, commonly referred to as the fluid mosaic model. Together, these components of the cell membrane allow the cell to interact with its external environment.
Now the functions of the plasma membrane, especially the functions of plasma membrane lipids, the major function is to maintain that fluid nature of the membrane, and especially the tails of the phospholipid, which are made up of fatty acids. If these fatty acids would be unsaturated and the concentration of unsaturated fatty acid would be greater, the more fluid would be the bilayer and it would be more flexible. And cholesterol, its function is to stabilize the plasma membrane, and its another function is to lower the freezing temperature of the membrane, so it solidifies at very low temperature and maintain that shape of the membrane. Another function of the lipid is to maintain that exit and entry of the molecules, especially the polar molecules and ions. Glycolipids, they also work as surface markers. Now the functions of the plasma membrane proteins. Some of these proteins, they act as channels or are responsible for the transport of the molecules. Some act as enzymes, some are the cell surface receptors or act as receptors for the molecules, and some are for the identity markers of the cell, and some are used for the adhesion of two cells with each other, and some of the proteins, as we already had seen, that they are attached to the cytoskeleton. Now the first one is channel protein and carrier proteins. Some of the proteins, they have channel through them through which the molecule can easily pass through it, and some of the proteins, they attach with a molecule and then move it across the membrane. So first one, this one is a channel protein, and these are the carrier proteins. Some of the proteins, they act as enzymes. The plasma membrane, it has certain proteins which have enzymatic nature. For example, in this case, there is a protein that is adenylate cyclase. When it attached to certain chemicals, especially to some hormones, it converts ATP into cyclic AMP inside the cell, which is a secondary messenger. This secondary messenger then bring about certain changes in the cell, or it may be responsible for certain metabolic reactions inside the cell. And receptor molecules, some of the proteins, they act as receptor molecules. These receptor molecules, they have specific shape, so they can attach to specific molecules. So specific molecules, they are received by these receptor molecules, and when they bind, these molecules bind to the receptor proteins, they bring about certain changes inside the cell. And some of the glycoproteins, the glycolipids and glycoproteins, they are also receptors. This is another figure which is showing the receptor. In this figure you can see that the receptor molecules have specific shape due to which they can receive only a certain type of molecule, and these molecules, when attached to it, they bring about certain changes inside the cell. And some of these proteins, they act as antigens, and these antigens are used to recognize the cell, especially when some foreign particle enter in the microorganism, or some other foreign particle enter in the body. The proteins present on its surface, they are identified by the immune system as antigens, and immune system is activated and then attack that microorganism. That is all for this first lecture.